She had lived her life, the day-to-day. She'd been a good person. I mean, just like any of us are good people. She'd done her duty. She'd done it with as much joy as she could. She had cared for her family, and she'd been a conscientious partner to her husband. Pretty normal stuff. He, too, had lived his life. And yet over the years together with her, he had amassed a number of issues, concerns, resentments, things that had not gone like he thought they should. He never said anything. He was just in a generally bad mood most of the time. So the moment came for both of them. She chose to live her life, her eternity in heaven. He chose to spend his time in hell. But he did something interesting. He, in the imagination of C.S. Lewis, he decided to get on the queue to take his trip to go to heaven, to check it out. He missed her. He wanted to see her. And so he gets on the bus. On the trip there, he oozed the bitterness of his life. He oozed the resentments. He oozed the struggles. He oozed the hopelessness. He was not a fun person to be around, even on the bus with people that were inhabitants of hell. You can imagine. That's bad. And he arrives with the others with the intention of encountering Sarah, his wife. It's difficult at first. Heaven, too real, too solid, too beautiful, too bright, too colorful. He a wispy ghost. But now, because of his resentments and bitterness and anger and hopelessness and the self-loathing manipulation, he had become these two ghostly beings. Check this out. Talk about imagination, C.S. Lewis. He became a dwarf with a chain, and that chain was hung around a character that C.S. Lewis calls a tragedian. The dwarf is the self-pity that made him so small. The tragedian is what happens often in all of our lives, the drama king of the personality. These ghostly beings go in search for Sarah. And before we know it, the scene is a scene almost out of a Disney princess movie, with Sarah coming into the scene with animals surrounding her and birds singing and music playing. An angelic being is nearing. She, solid, a spirit that oozed joy and love and connection. Oh, she too was excited to receive Frank, and she was so happy to see him. And Frank, though, was ready for the fight. It seems like marital struggles don't end once we die. Is that a couple's word for us today? He was ready with the long list of the things she'd done over their entire life. All the slights, all the mistakes. He was ready. She received them with much compassion. She was, oh my gosh, Frank, I'm so sorry. If you could only experience the love that I'm experiencing. And can you just let go? And I love you, and I'm so glad you're here. But he could not accept it. He wanted more. I'm not sure what he wanted, but he wanted more. He wanted explanations. He really, if you're honest, what he wanted was for her to come down to hell with him. He didn't like her joy. He thought it was her avoidance of what she really did to him. She tells him, "No, Frank, not here. Listen to reason. Did you think joy was created to live always under that threat? The threat of your self-pity, the threat of your hopelessness, the threat of your resentments, the threat of your despair, always defenseless against those who would rather be miserable than have their self-will crossed." And then she continues, "If it would help you and if it were possible, I would go down with you into hell. But you cannot bring hell into me." Well, this is not a sermon about marital discord, although if the shoe fits. But I've been thinking so often these days about these hells that we create together. I'm concerned about the ways that we bite and devour each other. I'm concerned how our hopelessness and our despair and our resentments and our angers and our disappointments overwhelm us, really all of us. And we all have our set. Sometimes I wish that we would be real about those and just let them be, get them out of our system. And we love our resentments, don't we? I love mine. I like to hold on to them. Oh, I love a pity party as much as the next person. No wanting to let go. In the meantime, the more ghostly I become, the less joy that I experience. And then in that movement, in that way, then we lose our way. We get disoriented ourselves. I'm concerned that because of what we are experiencing together in the day-to-day of life and that our neighbors are experiencing, that a lot of us are becoming so disoriented and so discouraged that maybe what we're feeding is the resentments and the struggles and the bitterness that creates a hell for us and for our neighbor. It's a conversation we have often as pastors. And then we gather here. We gather here together and we speak. We speak words of hope and possibility and joy. We speak these words and we hope that you somehow can connect with those words. And yet, sometimes it feels like it's impossible. I don't know if it's happened to you yet. I'm sure it has, but sometimes I wake up in these days and I'm feeling good. You know, I'm feeling joy-filled and I'm feeling positive and hopeful, and I'm like, yes, here we are. Here's what God's up to in the world. And then my phone buzzes. And I have a new reason to be ticked off now. My day ruined. Joy evaporating. Moment by moment. Like Frank, I wonder if I too am finding myself not hearing about this love. I don't want to hear about this joy. Can't you see what's happening in the world? Don't you remember? And I can see Sarah's look on my own face. No, don't you remember, Juan Carlos? Don't you remember love like no other and hope? What would that look like? What would the fruit of the Spirit look like? in these days. Now, that's not to negate the pain that we suffer and our neighbors suffer. No. That is not to, this is not toxic positivity. It is a recognition. See, I'm about to really upset the tech team, so I've told you, tech team. See, in one of the great movements in C.S. Lewis's The Great Divorce, he engages us in a conversation. See, that trip from hell to heaven seemed like a vast gulf between the two. It seemed like it was never ending. Like these places are so separate from one another, and they have to go on this long journey. And so the characters meet each other, and the spirit that's guiding the narrator hears the narrator tell them about this gulf that they have to go through, this canyon in this trip. And the spirit guide says, you mean where you came from, that place, Greytown, that trip? Let me show you. And he points to this tiny microscopic little gap on the earth. He says, that's what you're talking to me about. You think it's so huge, but it's that tiny. Now this place, this heaven, now this is huge. This is solid. This is real. One of the questions that I get asked these days is what are we going to do in the midst of the pain that our neighbors are struggling with, and in the midst of the suffering that our neighbors are living through? What are we going to do with our own disappointments and our own despair and our own hopelessness and our own anxieties and our own fears? What are we going to, Pastor Juan, what are we going to do? And I often think about what the church has done for 2,000 years. God's people resisting evil, injustice, and oppression in whatever form it may present itself. And I said, what are we going to do? We're going to resist, like we have for 2,000 years. We're going to stand in the gap for people that are being dehumanized. We're going to stand in the gap for people whose dignity is being violated. We're going to stand in the gap for those who are diseased and marginalized. We're going to stand in we're going to come alongside them. But people of God, we got to do this, but we cannot come alongside one another in hopelessness. We cannot come alongside one another in bitterness. We cannot come alongside one another in despair. We cannot come alongside one another with the resentments of life. We are told on this day that we come alongside one another with the fruit of the Spirit. We're going to come alongside one another in love and in joy and in peace and forbearance and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. We're going to come with the antidote to those things. It is tempting to fight the battle of hopelessness and despair with the same. It's tempting to be bitter and angry. And by the way, I love my bitterness and anger. I too, at times, want to call fire upon those who live against the good news of Jesus. I too want to call fire each time I see our neighbors struggling for their basic necessities. I too want to call fire when people don't get the support systems that they need. I too want to call down fire, and I too get angry, and I too demand. But the good news of Jesus tells us that life is stronger than death, that joy is stronger than hatred. The good news of Jesus tells us that we are a people of the Spirit, you and I together, that we are a body together, and that then we together, practicing joy, have all that we need to sustain each other in the ups and downs of our life and in the life of the world. People of God, there are hellacious experiences that we live through and that our neighbors live through. But we, together, practicing the fruit of the Spirit are stronger than any force imaginable, so that we together, our neighbors, our co-workers, our communities, our neighborhoods, our nation, can experience heaven on earth. The reality of realities right here, right now. And guess what? We don't even need a bus trip.